Hello and welcome. On this channel I bring to you book summaries on the best books in the field of creativity. I also bring you ideas to help you be more creative. If this sounds like something you'd gain value from, I hope you subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you'll know when I post new videos. Now on to the book summary. The One Thing, the surprisingly simple truth behind extraordinary results, by Gary Keller with J. Papeson. The book is about 295 pages, but there's an index in the back, so it's more like around 250 pages. And one of the first quotes in the book is, "If you choose two rabbits, you will catch neither one." Russian proverb. There are 3 sections in the book with 18 chapters total. Part 1 is called The Lies, They Mislead and Derail Us. 2, The Truth, The Simple Path to Productivity. And 3, Extraordinary Results, Unlocking the Possibilities Within Us. Chapter 1, The One Thing. The author learned over many years that where he had huge success, he had managed to concentrate on one thing. He suggests going small, ignoring all you could do, and focusing only on what you should do. Do a few things well. Chapter 2, The Domino Effect. Mr. Keller goes through a whole section describing how incrementally larger dominoes stacked back to back create a geometric progression. He uses this domino metaphor to illustrate how our own success can be built in a similar way. He says that supreme success is sequential, not simultaneous. What starts linear becomes geometric. Chapter 3, Success Leaves Clues. Mr. Keller suggests focusing on one product or service, like KFC or Coors or Starbucks did. He gives Angelo Americo, Italy's most successful tour guide, as an example of a man who developed skills in his business from his singular passion for his country and the deep desire to share it with others. The author points out that a passion can develop skills which can develop into a business. Chapter 4, Everything Matters Equally, line number 1. To-do lists, he says, should be success lists. Mr. Keller cites the 80-20 principle by Pareto, basically that 80% of the results come from 20% of the work. He suggests doing a extreme Pareto, 20% of 20% of 20%, until you get down to 1 in 100, to the essential, imperative one thing. Then doing the most important thing before anything else. Chapter 5, Multitasking, line number 2. It has been scientifically proven that switching between tasks loses 28% of our effectiveness. He points out that we expect surgeons and pilots to be focused and states that your work deserves the same respect. Chapter 6, A Disciplined Life, line number 3. The Myth of Self-Discipline. He suggests selective discipline. Success is about doing the right thing, not doing everything right. He suggests choosing the right habit and using discipline in short doses, just long enough for habit to kick in and take over. He says, don't be a disciplined person, be a person of powerful habits, and use selective discipline to develop them. Build one habit at a time, give each habit enough time, on average 66 days, and stick with it long enough for it to become routine. Chapter 7, Willpower is Always on Will Call, line number 4. Mr. Keller points out that willpower is a finite resource. It's strongest early in the day, but it decreases throughout the day, sort of like a battery. So he suggests doing what matters most, a priority early in the day. You will need willpower at full strength to ensure that when you're doing the right thing, you don't let anything distract you. Chapter 8, A Balanced Life, which is line number 5. The problem with living in the middle is it prevents you from making extraordinary time commitments to anything important. He suggests counterbalance and states that you are bound to leave some less important things undone and that that's okay. He says in your personal life, such as family, health, friends, and integrity, to go short and avoid long periods out of balance. but in work, go long. Chapter 9, Big is Bad, lie number 6 and the last one. Mr. Keller points out that everyone has the same amount of time, and yet some people are much more successful than others. He states that what you do is determined by what you think, and how big you think becomes a launching pad for how high you achieve. So think as big as you possibly can, and base what you do, how you do it, and who you do it with on succeeding at that level. He gives the example of J.K. Rowling, envisioning 7 years at Hogwarts before she started writing the first chapter of the first of 7 books. He says a good rule of thumb is to double down everywhere in your life. If the goal is 10, ask, how can I reach 20? Set a goal so far above what you want that you'll be building a plan that practically guarantees your original goal. Don't choose from the available options. Imagine options that no one else has. Part 2, the truth, the simple path to productivity. Quote, the key to success isn't in all the things we do, but in the handful of things we do well. Chapter 10, the focusing question. It seems we must envision our own journeys, make our own maps, and create our own compass. Clarity must come first. Quote, what's the one thing I can do such that by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary? This question is both a map for the big picture, what's my one thing, the right direction, and a compass for your smallest next move, what's my one thing right now, the next right action. This question drives you to make the best decisions, ignoring what is doable and drilling down to what is necessary. Ultimate leverage test, in other words, you found the first domino. Everything else you could do to accomplish your goal will now be either doable with less effort or no longer even necessary. This qualifier declutters your life by asking you to put on your blinders. Once you knock over the first domino, you'll discover a line of dominoes behind it, either ready to fall or already down. Chapter 11, the success habit. Mr. Keller proposes asking the focusing question in each of the major areas of our lives: our spiritual life, our physical health, our personal life, our key relationships, our business, and our finances. How do we make the one thing part of our daily routine? Make it a habit. Stick with it until it becomes your routine. Chapter 12, the path to great answers. Mr. Keller points out that a great question will lead to a great answer, and that a great question needs 2 parts, a large enough scope and a specific time frame. He gives the example of, what can I do to double sales in 6 months, as meeting both key criteria as big and specific. Then to convert it into the focusing question, what's the one thing I can do to double sales in 6 months, such that by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary? He says that extraordinary results require a great answer. We can start by studying the lives of high achievers in our field and establish that as a benchmark. This maximum can become your new minimum. You can do the next thing in the same direction as the best performers, or head in an entirely new direction. Part 3, extraordinary results, unlocking the possibilities within you. Mr. Keller uses the 3 terms purpose, priority, and productivity. Your purpose, in other words, the one thing, the big picture, your priority, the specific action step in the present, leading to great productivity. Chapter 13, live with purpose, the power of purpose, in other words, engagement and meaning. Happiness happens on the way to fulfillment. What's the one thing I can do in my life that would mean the most to me in the world, such that by doing it, everything else would be easier or unnecessary? Chapter 14, live by priority. Mr. Keller suggests we connect our long-term goals directly back to the present. He suggests breaking a big goal down into the states needed to achieve it. He helps engage the strategic thinking you need to plan for and achieve extraordinary results. To do this, connect your someday goal with your 5-year goal, to your 1-year goal, to your monthly goal, to your weekly goal, to your daily goal, to right now. In this way, you can think big, but also go small. Goal setting to the now. He also says that by writing them down, you are 39.5% more likely to achieve them. Chapter 15, Live for Productivity. Mr. Keller uses the concept of time blocking to devote a certain amount of time of day devoted to your one thing. He says 4 hours a day is minimum, and preferably in the morning. Let these time blocks become a habit, creating the most productive day possible in a way that's repeatable every day for the rest of your life. And protect your time blocks by building a bunker, putting up a do not disturb sign, storing provisions, turning off disruptive electronic gadgets. Chapter 16, The 3 Commitments. Follow the path of mastery. A path you go down instead of a destination you arrive at. He cites the 10,000-hour rule, which for somebody working 5 days a week for 50 weeks a year equals 250 work days. He says you would want to average 4 hours a day. 2, move from entrepreneurial to purposeful. Look for better ways to do things. For example, instead of using an axe, find a chainsaw. Continually seek the very best ways of doing things. 3, live the accountability cycle. Have an accountability partner. While writing down goals improves results almost 40%, sending progress reports to an accountability partner increases those results to 76.7%. Seek out coaches, teachers, and supervised trainings. If the path of mastery is a commitment to be your best, being purposeful is a commitment to adopt the best possible approach. Take ownership of outcomes. Choose the driver's seat. Chapter 17, The 4 Thieves. Inability to say no, fear of chaos, poor health habits, and an environment that doesn't support your goals. He says that Steve Jobs, in his first 2 years after his return to Apple in 1997, took the company from 350 products down to 10. He knew how to say no, so his yeses would stand out. Chapter 18, The Journey. In this last regular chapter, Mr. Keller talks about people at the end of their lives and what regrets they have. There are several, but he said the biggest was, I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. Half-filled dreams and unfulfilled hopes. Make sure every day you are doing what matters most. When you know what matters most, everything makes sense. Live your life to minimize regrets. The end. I hope you have enjoyed and benefited from this book summary. If you did, please like and subscribe. Thank you.